Welcome, welcome. This is Soul Mastery for the soul-led entrepreneur who desires it all, purpose, power, and profits. I am your host, Jade Ali Desai, business and success mentor who has helped many amazing entrepreneurs build and scale their businesses through the lens of human design, hypnosis, and energetic strategies to not only increase their income, but to greater their impact. Today, my special guest, Trienne Topp, speaks to every aspect of this. And what is so beautiful is while I come at it from a very energetic standpoint, she brings a very practical, tactical to it, having been a leader. She's a leadership performance coach, a restaurant operating partner for the last 28 years, balancing network marketing, balancing motherhood, being a wife, daughter, sister, friend. Let's just get into this because this conversation is about to be so dynamic, and I want you guys to make sure you have time to listen and come back for more. Welcome, Trienne. How are you?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me on today. I've been wanting to connect in this way for a long time now, so I'm very excited to be able to kind of pour into your community today.
Thank you. So I already shared a little bit about you, but I'd love for you to take a minute and introduce yourself. There's so much magic and so much power, and you get to speak your truth. So share with us a little bit about you and who you are.
I love that. So what's interesting is I feel like every time that I do an intro, it's a little bit different. I don't have that necessarily printed in front of me, because I feel like I get very robotic. So as a leadership performance coach, a lot of the masculinity comes into my practice and my coaching. I say I'm a no nonsense leadership performance coach. When it comes down to the excuses, we get rid of them and we move on, right? So I help a lot of people find their leadership voice, their leadership style. And then at that point, they can show up in the world more as the leader that they want to be. And so I've been in restaurant now for 26 years. I spent 8 years in network marketing and also in a retail fashion and training space where I traveled and opened new stores. And, I talk a lot in my community about how when you walk into the room, what is the energy that introduces you? And the reason that we talked about that was because so often I was meeting brand new teams, but it's no different than when you walk into a grocery store or you walk into your group of friends. How you want to be and carry yourself is that energetic match to being the leader that you want to be in your life.
I love that because oftentimes when we think of leadership, we think of like a CEO, we think of someone who's running their own business. However, leadership is very dynamic and it's very fluid. It is also the person who's running their household. It's also the person who's managing a staff, probably even in your restaurant, your managers, they're managing people underneath them. So leadership is such a big conversation. And as women, I don't know any woman out there who's not wearing 7,001 hats. So if you're listening, you're already a leader. And I think this is an important conversation because we are both moms. We both have, we're mom Ubering 95% of the time. I know you and I have met many times on Zoom when I'm sitting in my car, sometimes in the dark because it's one of those days. Mm-hmm. How do you find balance? Or is balance even a thing?
I love this question. I would say the thing that I get asked the most on my podcast at the very end, I say, I've had you on here for a hot seat for 15, 20 minutes, however long it is. Do you have any questions for me? And the question I get all the time is, how the heck do you do it? How do you do all the things? And I kind of laugh because it may seem as if we do. However, balance for me, I was just having this conversation the other day. Balance for me is when I'm in that moment. If I'm sitting on the couch with my daughter and we're snuggling before she goes to bed, am I worried about the restaurant, or am I spending time intentionally leading my relationship with my daughter? If I can keep my mind present, then I'm leading in the way that I want to. I'm creating that relationship. Now, if I'm at the restaurant and I'm thinking, oh, shoot, I need to pick up my daughter in 15 minutes, or she has an appointment at 4, I'm at the restaurant, but I have those outside responsibilities. So one of the things that has helped me is keeping things not only color-coded in the Google Calendar.
Yeah, preaching to the choir there.
It's a requirement. But I also, I do something the night before called the Tonight for Tomorrow list.
Oh,
So, for instance, on Tuesdays, my daughter always has softball after, and as soon as I get out of work, I go grab her and we head up to a different city for softball. So that means that Monday night, there is a bag next to the door that has cleats and pants and a belt and a sweatshirt and a helmet, and her softball bag is already in the car because I don't want my morning to be like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? It's this is what we're doing today. These are the things that we have in place. And we are moving into our day feeling very successful and not really in charge of it, but ready for it and open to
oh,
it. Yeah. Like what great things are going to happen for me today. Right.
love it.
Um, Opposed to you have softball tonight. You need to get this, and this before you leave for school.
Yep.
So I don't want my kids to go off to school in stress, and I don't want to go off to work or my day in stress. So how can I lead us in a way that lead us into the energy of what we want our day to be like? And I don't know anybody who says I want to be on constant fire all day long. No.
No, for sure. And so like the way I see it, it's a question, it's a decision of being reactive or proactive. And what I like about this is it's applicable in any aspect, whether it's business, whether it's entrepreneurship, your 9 to 5, your motherhood, or even if you're a single person trying to get your shit together, this is how
Mhm.
you do it. You get to, and I use that very intentionally because it is a decision. You
Mhm.
get to decide, okay, how do I actually want to live my life? Because 95% of the human population is living in this reactive mode. And we
Mhm.
see it in our health, in our just mood, right? And so having this sense, it's an empowered state.
Mhm.
And so what I'm curious though, like when you are teaching your, because you also do corporate training, right? So
Mhm.
when you're moving into these larger spaces where sometimes, you're going to walk in and they're going to be like, well, I already know everything, Trienne. How do you
Mhm.
handle that dynamic? Because in leadership, this is paramount.
Yeah, I love that you asked that because let's also remember that leadership is about continuous learning.
Yeah.
So I can pick those true leaders out of the room when I go into those workshops. They're the ones that are open and thinking to themselves, okay, if I already set myself up in the morning, if the 21-day morning rush is what we're working on, if I have set myself up in the morning already, I already do that. Okay, a leader is going to say, but what else could I do to even get 1% better
Yes.
or to make an impact on one other person on my team? Because when we go into it with the closed mind, I already know this is a waste of my time. That shows me right there that they are not in leadership because they're not leading themselves. How are we supposed to lead other people without that continuous growth and something to share? Because we know that we learn even better by sharing it, right?
Right.
So it's interesting those that have the I have it all down. I've done this before. The worst 7 words that you can is this is how we've always done it. So
So true.
yes. So it doesn't have to be from a space of oh no, what am I missing and I'm doing wrong? But what can I learn today that I can go and be even better version of myself for myself, my team, my family, whoever I'm focusing on intentionally at the time.
That's actually I'd like to dive into this one a bit more because oftentimes, like when someone comes to you and is like, hey, what's happening here? You get defensive and be like, oh my God, what did I do
Mhm.
wrong? And for women, this is huge because I don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now, but this is so big in the people pleasing tendencies. This
Mhm.
is so big in in all relationship dynamics because we walk into it thinking automatically, oh, I must have done something wrong, when in reality
Mhm.
it's not an emotional conversation.
Well,
So
and as a recovering people pleaser,
join the club.
I think we all are in some way. As a recovering people pleaser, I had to ask myself, is this something that I'm doing that makes me happy, makes me feel successful, makes me move forward? Or am I then feeling smaller around this person because I feel like I have to defend myself? So again, it's not them making me feel a certain way. I really had to get at home with the fact that I was allowing myself to react in that way. And again, it all comes down to leadership. I mean, every decision we make is a leadership decision. Every action, every thought, every limiting belief that we switcheroo, it's all about leading ourselves through that life that we want to create and the person that we want to be.
Oh. So you mentioned something about a 21-day rush. Talk to me
Mhm.
about that because it feels like this goes hand in hand, right?
Mhm.
As it, and not how you teach it, but more like getting you into that rhythm of like, okay, I get to be more self-led. I get to take on that responsibility, and especially course correcting this emotional
Mhm.
defensiveness, like this mechanism that we have. So how does that support it? And well, I guess back up because this is like 4 questions in one. My bad. Let's start with what exactly is this morning rush that you're talking about?
Yeah, the Morning Rush is a 21-day group-led course, turning it into a self-led course that they can do on their own as well. We did it for 21 days where we wake up in the morning. The first thing that people do is grab their phone and then they start in reaction mode, and it's reacting to emails, reacting to other people's feelings, reacting to other people's needs and wants, reacting to the news. So the 21-day rush specifically starts with keeping your phone to the side for the first hour of your day. And instead, we start with gratitude. We start with a word of how we want to feel that day and how we're going to show up. And we also start with what amazing things could happen to me today. Because life is happening for us, not to us. So
Mm.
what kind of amazing things can happen for us today? Because then we're going to start looking for all those things. And we've already used the Tonight for Tomorrow list to set up our day. So we already know what's going on today. And we are picking up and rolling with it in a way that we choose, because now we've chose how we want to show up. We've chosen our gratitude. And then as things come, we're not going to feel so rushed. We're going to feel successful, in charge, empowered. And as if, like I said, every decision that we make is a leadership decision. So we're in creation mode, not reaction mode.
Oh, I love it. And that actually ties in with the gift you're giving the audience today too, right? Because how many
Yeah.
times well, why don't you share what your gift is? And then I'll ask you my questions. I'm super inquisitive today, so I gotta
That's okay.
slow my roll.
I love it. These conversations get me so fired up. And that's why I love doing the one-on-one coaching as well, because sometimes as I'm having the conversation with that other person, whatever inspired action is coming to mind, and for them, it gets us both into expansion. It gets us both into the what ifs and the fact that we are accountable to our own realities, right? So a long time ago, I heard of vision boarding. I mean, long story short, this is how my husband and I got married, is through my vision
Oh,
board. And we've been together for 7 years at the time. So when I tell you it was probably the vision board, I'm going to believe that.
well, that's really cute. I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's funny is that when people think of a vision board, sometimes they see these big, expansive pieces that people put together. And creating a vision board doesn't have to be a 2-hour workshop. And it also doesn't have to be once a year. It can be what I found as once a month. And I make it as a backdrop on my laptop. But I also have, it's called a battle board for me, but I have an entire wall full of stuff and things that I want to do, see, and be.
Oh,
So what I'm giving them today is vision board planner in under an hour. So it's a very basic. It comes with a training through YouTube that they can get. And I use Canva in order to do that. But being able to make a monthly vision board for the backdrop of my computer is really empowering for me, because as soon as I look at a picture, I understand what it means, what I want, and I have a list of what I would like to do to reach that, whether it's a quarter, a year, a month, however that person wants to view that.
I love the flexibility, but what I also love about it is because we both know the subconscious mind, it loves repetition. So having
Mhm,
it as the backdrop on the laptop, I also have it on the backdrop on my phone.
mhm.
It's just that constant reminder, like, oh, okay, I'm working towards something. I'm not just like floating through life these days. And it kind of comes back to the intentionality that you were speaking of in the beginning.
Mhm.
you're present in the moment. So each
Mhm.
step you're taking, each decision, each self-led moment, it comes back for something. And I think having that, it's for me, I call it like a touchstone. I always have something to come back to. And since we always do have our phones on us, it's one of those things that you can actually grab. So like a physical item to help kind of anchor it in. Now, in your mentorship, whether it be one-to-one or in your group coaching, how do you use vision boarding there also?
Yeah. So in the 21 day morning rush, I give the vision board planner as a gift, as a bonus to be in that course and program. But we focus more on that morning routine and helping people create their personal morning routine. I can get hundreds of pins off of Pinterest and pass them out to the people that are in that course and say, do this and you'll be successful in the morning. The difference is there's no buy in, so they will not be successful. What we do in
Oh,
that
break that
course.
down a bit.
So what we do in that course is I say, we go by the me plus three. So it's something that I can do for myself, either plus three. With our me plus three, what we do is we go gratitude, growth, goals. So me, what is something that I'm going to do either today or this week for myself to make me feel better about whether it's fulfilling a relationship or whether it's fulfilling something that I want to do. It's something for me. And then gratitude, growth, and goals really helps put us on that trajectory of what do we want. So when we refocus on those every morning in the morning routine to create the buy-in. So what that means is that people look at it and they say, oh my gosh, I want to write down my gratitude, my growth, and my goals because it's getting me somewhere. Not this says I need to read for 10 minutes, so I guess I'll do that. What do you want to read for 10 minutes? Do you want to meditate for 10 minutes? Do you want to listen to a podcast while you're in the shower? Like, what do you want to do? And it's really giving them that power. I've been with a coach before that I felt very dependent on what they told me and their decisions. And I decided a long time ago that that's not the energy that I want to give to my clients. I want to empower them to think for themselves. And in this way, a lot of my clients become friends because I've given them that inspiration and not necessarily done it for them.
Right.
And they love to share with me, not because they want me to have the information, but also they're not seeking approval from me. And it shouldn't be
Ooh,
about that codependency.
yes.
Mhm.
I love that you bring that up because sometimes in mentorship, you'll find people are there to say, like, okay, I'm here. Am I okay? Can you just keep telling me I'm okay? And they miss the whole point of mentorship. Like for me, mentorship, we both know how I am. Like it's very straight to the point. Like you're not paying me thousands of dollars for me to blow sunshine and make you feel fluffy, for lack of a better word, right? You're coming because you're saying, hey, I know there is more to this. And I love that your Facebook community, your podcast is be that, create that. So you're asking them or asking your clients to step into and to own their desires, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, it's who do you want to be? And sometimes that journey along from where we are to who we want to become is way more important than what time it takes us to get there and who that person is. It's what are we doing to grow in the middle? And with the creation piece, what's funny is I was listening to a podcast probably 4 years ago, and she said she was talking about networking events in her area. And she said, I finally said to myself, well, I can't get to that big city, so I'm just going to create it here. And a very empowering statement was, if I don't already have it in my life, I need to create it because there's probably somebody else around me who also wants that in their life, but they're just unsure of how to create that for other people. So it's like leaning in and just really lighting the way for others too.
I love that. There's so much to this whole conversation that I'm loving. But Trienne, for those listening in, they're like, I love it too. How are they going to find you?
So the podcast that I have that actually you inspired me to start is called Be That Create That Leadership Conversations with Trienne Topp. And our Facebook community is actually called the Female Leader Headquarters. So again, it's about us being leaders in our roles and where we're at now, not necessarily feeling like we have to wait for someone to tell us that we're a leader. And the fact that we can be a leader from any role. We don't have to have a title or a position that says that we're in charge. We can be a leader of a conversation. We can be a leader of our household. We can be a leader of our friend group, our volunteer group, wherever you're at is a choice and it's a decision in the moment.
It is. And we've all intentionally or unintentionally, we've decided to wear so many different hats. Mm-hmm. And understanding that you're not alone and knowing that there is a community of support, it is so beneficial, especially if you're coming from like a past people pleaser or someone who's not that you're rebuilding yourself, but you're building yourself, your sense of worth, your sense of value, and understanding it was always there. And you've just unearthed it. So having this kind of community connection and having a place to, well, be real and ask for that support, I think is beautiful. For those of you who are interested, all of that will definitely be in the show notes, and grab Trienne's vision boarding under an hour. Look, you may think it's all airy fairy, but again, your subconscious mind loves repetition, and it's your creative powerhouse. So it loves visuals. So why would you not want to feed yourself this magical potion, so to speak? Trienne, before I let you go, I've been joy has been a major focal point or theme lately for me. So what is something that brings you joy?
I would say something that brings me joy is seeing my daughters doing things that they really enjoy doing. This week, I got the opportunity to watch my oldest partake in practice for her softball team, and everything she did, she smiled and she gave so much effort, and she turned and she'd look at me and I'd give her the thumbs up, and just the pride in her face. And then my second daughter actually started horse lessons this week. So seeing her being able to do that, which is what I grew up doing, was riding horses. So seeing her do that, and so much, again, confidence and pride. I don't really think there's any joy that's bigger than that for me right now.
And that is leadership in action, showing what's possible for the next generation. Thank you so much, Trienne, for being on today. For those of you who are listening, again, grab the vision boarding workshop. It's to your benefit. And we are so excited to hear your biggest takeaways. What inspired you? What was like an aha moment? So be sure to tag us on social and share this with your community, because the more we all learn to step into our leadership, I think the greater we get to be, and we get to create that true sense of community that so many of us are longing for. So thank you so much for tuning in today. This is Soul Mastery, and I'm your host, Chaitali Desai. Until next time, we're wishing you a beautiful day.